So, good afternoon. My name is Mauro Lorenzutti. I'm the CTO and one of the project managers at Webformat. I'm a member of Meet Magento Italy. Webformat is the organizer of the conference in Italy. And this afternoon I'm going to speak about this. So, I think some of you are agencies, someone not. So, maybe if you already have a Magento 1 website, probably you already asked you if you have to move to Magento 2, why, when, and so on. So I'm going to speak about that using the technique of the 5 W's plus 2. I just added 2 more W's. So let's start. First of all, what do I have to do during an upgrade project? But is it an upgrade or is it a migration? It's not a simple upgrade because Magento 1 and Magento 2 are very different. They have different database structure, they have a different framework, they have a different way to implement the themes, and so on. So it's not a simple upgrade. We usually speak about migration. You need a different Magento installation, a Magento 2 installation, and you have to handle the migration of the data and the functionalities. The good point is that Magento is already providing a tool to migrate data from Magento 1 to Magento 2. So it's easy to migrate customers, orders, the catalog, the promotion rules, and stuff like that. It's also possible to customize the migration tool to migrate your own data. So if you have additional fields in the orders table, if you have more tables that are not native in Magento, you can customize the tool to migrate them without any coding, just some XML configuration. But it's not enough. You have to re-implement your functionalities. So if in Magento 1 you installed some modules, if you implemented some customizations, you have to redone them in Magento 2. So this is why we speak about migration and not about upgrade. So, as I said, it's not easy to migrate from Magento 1 to Magento 2. So you may ask, why? Why do you have to migrate? There are two main reasons. The first one is about new features. Magento is focusing on Magento 2, so all the new features will be released for Magento 2 only. Magento is not releasing new versions of Magento 1 with new features. And it's almost the same for the modules, for the companies that are developing modules. They are focusing on Magento 2. And the second main reason is about security. Magento is still maintaining Magento 1. So it's still possible for you to patch your Magento if there is a security problem, but it's not forever. Magento is going to start supporting Magento 1, and the problem is when. This is a table that you can find in Magento website, and you can see that it's not possible to see it. You can see that for Magento 1 Enterprise Edition, the last, the end of the support is in June 2020. So you have to consider that after that time, you will not receive any patch for Magento 1. What I mean? I mean that Magento 1 will become obsolete in terms of functionalities and will become unsecure as soon as Magento will stop to support it. It's just this? No, it's not only for these two reasons. Magento 2 already provides new functionalities. Compared to Magento 1, you can find a new backoffice, a simplified way to manage the catalog, in particular the configurable products. There is a better checkout, there are performance improvements, and more, and so on. And Magento 2 is focusing on security too. So one of the best improvements about Magento 2 is about modules. Magento is evaluating, is checking all the modules that will be published in the marketplace, and is evaluating the security of these modules, in particular regarding the encryption of the module. So Magento is not allowing encrypted modules anymore, just for the licensing check. And Magento 2 is based on an up-to-date technology stack, so you can take advantage of new technologies, for example on PHP 7. Okay, and who is involved in the migration project? So who do you have to involve while implementing the migration? Who is involved? There are two possibilities when you approach a migration project. The first one is to migrate without giving evidence to anyone. So you can migrate from Magento 1 to Magento 2 without changing any process, without changing the layout, without changing any functionality, just to re-implement everything in Magento 2. In this case, you don't have to involve too many people, just your solution provider, the hosting provider, and the back office operators, because they have to be trained for the new back office. So you have to involve them. And the second approach is to rethink your solution. So it could be the right time to stop, to wait one moment, and to think about your Magento 1 implementation, and to think if you can improve something, if there is something to optimize, because as I said, you have to re-implement your functionalities on Magento 2, so this could be the right time to rethink these functionalities. In this case, of course, you have to involve a Magento consultant, an analyst, to analyze all the functionalities. He has to interview all the stakeholders, your back office users, but also your IT department, and he has a key role to suggest, to propose new implementations of your processes, just to be ready for the future. So if you expect a huge amount of orders or a huge amount of customers in the future, it may be the right time to rethink your processes. And when? When does it make sense to plan the migration? This is probably the most important question, and unfortunately this is the most difficult one. I think we can define three different scenarios. The first one is, let's say, your e-commerce is not performing very well. You have problems, you are not converting too much, so you have to invest a lot on your e-commerce to implement a new user interface, to integrate new functionalities, to provide new features to your customers, to try to improve your conversions. In this case, I would suggest to migrate to Magento 2 right now, just to invest in your new features one time only. As I said before, when you implement something in Magento 2, you have to re-implement it in Magento 2. I said it right, yeah? If you have to make huge investments on your Magento 1 website, it would be better to migrate before doing that investment. The second scenario is the opposite one. Let's say that you have an e-commerce that is performing very well, and you don't plan any investment on that e-commerce. You just have to do the day-by-day maintenance and very small evolutions. In this case, I would suggest to don't migrate to Magento 2, to wait. Why? Because we have to be honest, Magento 2 is not as stable as Magento 1 is. Magento 1 has 10 years of history, is installed in thousands and thousands of projects. Magento 2 is pretty new compared to Magento 1, and there are still some bugs on Magento 2, of course. So in this case, I would suggest to wait for the migration, to give to Magento the possibility to improve the stability of Magento 2. And the third scenario is the most difficult one. The third scenario is about a case where your e-commerce is performing very well, but you have to implement a lot of new functionalities. You have to do a huge investment in your e-commerce. For example, because you want to integrate your retail network, because you want to integrate a loyalty program, and stuff like that. In this case, there is no simple solution for the migration, because on one side, you would prefer to migrate to Magento 2 and to invest one time only. On the other side, you can't wait for the migration, because the migration would usually takes 6-7 months, and you don't have time to wait, because your competitor is exiting in the market with the functionality you need, and you can't wait for the functionality. In this case, you have to evaluate what is the cost for you to wait compared to the cost of the migration, and compared to the cost of doing 2 times the same implementation. So in this case, the answer is up to you. It depends on your business. I hope now we get some slides again. Yeah. And so, how to handle a migration project? There are 2 different ways to handle a project like this one. Probably you already know the agile and the waterfall methodologies. Someone prefers to don't have any surprise, so someone prefers to collect all the requirements, all the functionalities at the beginning of the project. They want to sign these functionalities to get a fixed time and a fixed budget. This could be a way to manage this kind of projects, but Magento is continuously improving Magento 2. So it could happen that today you are thinking about the functionality, and Magento is going to release this functionality in a few months in a way that is not so that doesn't match your requirements, but could be used by you. So maybe deciding today all the functionalities could be not the right strategy. Of course, also the companies who are implementing new modules are releasing new functionalities every day. So deciding today all the features maybe is not so good for your project. My suggestion is to split the project in a lot of different phases, based on the business value of each phase, on the risk of having this phase now or in the future, and in delivery dates you desire, and to manage each phase as a small project, with a deep analysis, with the development phase, the testing phase, and the release. In this way, you can define a long-term strategy, but you can focus on small functionalities and taking advantage of new releases from Magento, of new modules that may be released in the meantime. Of course, this is a kind of graph about the way to manage projects in this way. Okay, so where to publish the new website? Oh, okay. Sorry, there are no slides again. I really apologize for that. So, where to publish the new website? As I said, Magento 2 supports an up-to-date stack. So it supports PHP 7, Varnish, Redis, and so on, even Magento 1. So it's possible to install Magento 2 on the same stack used for Magento 1, but I wouldn't suggest that, because otherwise you're not taking advantage of the new stack. Let's say one thing in particular about PHP 7. It provides a huge performance improvement. So it would be better to have another server, another hosting infrastructure, and to install Magento 2 on this new infrastructure. And then you have the problem to handle the switch off of the old Magento and the switch on of the new one. In this case, you have two different possibilities. The first one is called the Big Bang publishing. It means that at a certain time, one day, you switch off the old Magento one and you switch on the new one, let's say. Switch on and switch off. And you change your DNS records from the old one to the new one. In this case, in a few minutes, all your customers, all your users are migrated from the old Magento one to the new one. And this is the simplest way, of course, but there is another solution. There is another way to handle this process, and it's called the parallel adoption. In this case, you have two different platforms, the old one and the new one, that are available at the same time. You can define that some of your customers, let's say at the beginning, the employees of your customer, and the more trusted your friends, their friends, the more trusted customers. You can define a subset of the customers, and then you can redirect that customers to the new platform. So let's say you have 90% of the customers on the old one and 10% on the new one. And then you can do a smooth migration between the old platform to the new one. This has a big advantage because you can test your solution in production without a big bang day. So it could be easier for you to find bugs, to fix any problem you may have before migrating all the customers. But it's not so easy to implement this migration, because you need someone at the behind the scenes to speak with, that is able to synchronize the data between the two instances. For example, for the stock management, you need to both Magento 1 and Magento 2 have to speak with the same ERP to synchronize the stock. Otherwise, you may have differences in stock. Or for the orders, let's think about the order number. You don't have to allow the same order number in the two different instances. So you need someone behind the scenes that is able to manage this parallel adoption. And it's not usually easy. But I would suggest to evaluate this solution because it gives you a lot of advantages. Okay. At the end, what about if you're going to start a new project? In this case, you have two possibilities, Magento 1 or Magento 2. In case you are evaluating Magento Enterprise Edition, you just have one possibility, because Magento is not selling license for Magento 1 anymore. So you cannot buy a new license for Magento Enterprise Edition just to renew a license that you already have. In case you think about Magento Community Edition, Magento Open Source, in this case the code is still available, so you can download it and you can implement your website using Magento Community Edition version 1. But you may ask yourself if it makes sense for you to start a new business with an old platform, or let's say with a platform that is not improved and with a platform that is going to die in 2-3 years. So I would suggest to start a new project with Magento 2. Okay, I don't know if you have some questions. Only questions starting with W, of course. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can get in touch with me. Thank you.